In any endeavor, you need a team of world-class professionals. In television, you need a team of world-class broadcasters. NTA 2.
Virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government.
Hello, good morning, and warmest welcome to Closeflow here on NT2 Lagos Network Center. It's our pleasure having you to join us again for yet another edition of the program. And we are sure that today is going to be yet another wonderful day because we have yet a distinguished Nigerian with us. But this time around, we have someone from the Ivory Tower. And you know, when you have somebody from that sector, or to that from that particular part of the community, you can be sure it's going to be deluge of information, interesting information, arresting information, and probably, I hope, some little bit of controversial information. Well, our guest this morning will be looking at something very close to his heart, and that's how linguistics can help us to learn better, or can help us to self-identify ourselves, or can help us to know exactly what our cultural past can do with our future. He majored in French, quite all right. He's a professor in the European Languages, University of Lagos, is the head of that department. He also has, as part of his major, African literature and comparative literature. At one time, he was actually the chairman of the board, that is Library Services here in Lagos. But this morning, he's going to be speaking with us on Closeflow about language and learning and how Nigerians have drifted from the dream that many of us had when we were growing up. My pleasure to therefore introduce to you Professor Timothy Asobale. You're welcome to Closeflow.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Prof.
Yes, sir.
Let me quickly get Prof to situate this thing properly so we don't run away from the reality that we are faced with. You have written several books.
Yes, sir.
Quite right. Several books.
Yes, sir.
But the recent one that I want to talk about, or I want to make reference to, is the biography you did on your mother. Now the question would be, why a biography on your mom?
Well, you know, charity, they say, begins at home. I know before I even start this program, there is virtue in remembering and giving honor to those who have helped us in the past. And these people will include the federal government of Nigeria, the old northern government of northern Nigeria, and then University of Lagos. Why the old northern government
yes.
of Nigeria? Because we had a premier, late Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto, who made free education available to us in northern Nigeria from 1954 to 1966 when he died. Why federal government of Nigeria? Because federal government of Nigeria gave me a room, an office, since 1981, where I functioned as a researcher at University of Lagos. Now, why University of Lagos? University of Lagos has had and still had a vibrant research outfit. They call it Central Research Committee in University of Lagos, which is to mean that very lively, dynamic academic who pay homage to why they are given this job, that is doing research and publishing. University of Lagos has empowered me to write books on Kaba language and linguistics, and recently Kaba dictionary. That is why we have to give kudo and honor to University of Lagos for granting me that opportunity to do research in my own mother tongue. Why write on mother tongue? There is no way I could exist without this grandmother that I wrote about, Saint Esther Ibirewo. Without her, I not have that grasp of Kaba language. That is why I decided to do honor in 500 pages to her memory, because one of the important things that language will do to anybody was brought out by that 6th century Chinese philosopher Confucius.
Yes.
He said, if we were made to be the president of that vast China, this first policy will be to correct language. People were wondering, to correct language with engineering problems, housing problems, food problem, food security, you are making language your first policy. He said, if language is not correct, what is said is not what is meant. If what is said is not what is meant, what ought to be done will remain undone, and security and confusion will be astray, and the people will be helpless. And that is why language, correcting language, and improving language, and changing language is the best policy that any government will undertake. And I thank God that in 1993, the government of Nigeria had a national education policy in which it was stipulated and articulated that every Nigerian child must learn not only English, but one of the 3 principal languages, major languages of Nigeria, yes, which is Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. What do you expect from Nigeria? It means Nigerian government has articulated a language policy that will make the people to speak in the language they understand very well. Thank you very much.
Now, Prof,
yes,
I like the preface to the conversation.
Yes, sir.
We seem to have taken on quite the entire spectrum of what we should be discussing, which is quite appropriate.
Yes, sir.
So we'll take them one by one now.
Okay, sir.
Now, Northern Nigeria, under Samuel Bello, had this policy of free education.
Yes, sir.
How entrenched was that?
It was entrenched in the north of those olden days. We were not too much interested in going to school. It was entrenched by reward system. Saddam decided that he was going to give us incentives. The incentive is that you will have 7 school uniforms and a captain to go with it. When you have 7 school uniforms and a captain to go with it, free meal, free transport money, free pocket money, free ISAL, free toilet paper, free textbooks, free exercise book. When you finish your mathematics exercise book, and you will go to the store and collect another exercise books. So you had no problem with purchasing books, purchasing exercise books. Those ones were given to us free. Which school was that? Kaba Provincial Secondary School, which all northern government had this provincial secondary school at that time in Sokoto province, in Bauchi province, in Adamawa province, in Kano province, in Katsina province, in Borno province. But Sadano knew that they were provincial secondary school. Let's try to improve them by calling them government. In 1965, before he died, he had that vision. He turned all the provincial secondary school to government secondary school before he died. You can imagine. And he built, for our own case in government secondary school, Okene, he built a special facility for us in what we call HSC, Higher School Certificate. Because at that time, because Okene was scoring 100%
We'll come to that.
Yes.
No, let's jump the gun.
Okay, sir.
We'll come to the excellent scores.
Yes,
No. The
yes.
excellent scores of
Pupils,
pupils.
yes, sir.
Those years back,
Yes,
and
sir.
then what we are going through right now. Now, let's come to another aspect.
Okay, sir.
And that is the question of what the university is providing for you, the facility for you to operate and to engage your intellectual abilities in what you're doing. Now, some people have said that Nigerian academia is totally absent when we are talking about Nigeria and the problem of Nigeria. Yes. That the Nigerian academia is disengaged from the reality of what's going on the street. How do you react to that?
Now, I think it's false. It's not totally correct, because there are certain committed academics like Awojobi. You know, he did that.
Yes.
Awojobi, for example, he invented his own
solution to the traffic jam in Lagos.
Not only that, he invented his own automotive engine car,
yes,
which is still in Faculty of Engineering. He decided to do it, and now this second version of it was taken to Europe, and they came first as the most UNILAG came first as the most inventive university in engineering. So it's not
recently.
Recently, yes. It is not only that. It's not you just call you don't call University of Lagos University of First Choice, the nation's pride. No, there are so many things. There are so many things. So many researches that are going on. Professor Falade, for example, has decided to use what do you call it, straw instead of cement. They are using straw and mud to build houses. Now, Professor Falade in civil engineering, University of Lagos. It's not only for Professor Falade. Professor Susu won the LNG engineering award with his student. They were going to do how to make sure that the pipelines cannot be vandalized easily. That's University of Lagos, and they were given millions of dollars for that. That's University of Lagos again. University of Lagos, where I function, we are doing a lot. We are not the out of the run type of lecturers. We are doing a lot to show all other universities. We are the University of First Choice, the nation's pride. During the last
strike?
No, not a strike this time around, because Bello, our VC, is an articulate chemical engineering professor. He told us during this last UNILAG research seminar about 2 weeks ago, that we have so much money, test fund money, to do research, and that people should go and source apply for those research. Even when I'm lucky, he was the chairman when 3 of my students became professor. That was on the 26th of June. Professor Bello asked them, we have so much money in the research committee of University of Lagos. Why are you not accessing that fund? And me, since these young people, they want to aspire to be professor under me, I'm happy. One of them is now my head of department. When he became, his name is Victor Ariole. That boy is another thing. He has been doing researches. He has been winning all those awards on researches in University of Lagos. Let me go back to our vice chancellor, because the university gets the type of vice chancellor we have is a vice chancellor that is begging you to do research, is begging you to come and take money for research. I stopped the vice chancellor short in my own radical way. I brought this book, Cover Language and Linguistics. You can hear me, Dr. Simiri. You should factor in another research. You are a professor. You don't have any book published, but the other Ariole has published 5 books, because he is a boy that I brought up and is now my head of department. So what we are saying indeed and in truth is that the vice chancellor is begging us to do research.
No, but Prof.
Yes, sir.
That is peculiar to University of Lagos. I'm looking at the general landscape.
Yes.
If we take University of Lagos out of Nigeria,
yes,
out of 160 million,
yes,
out of how many universities that we have across the country,
yes,
that means we have only an infinitesimal percentage of persons who are getting involved in researches, especially from the. So what can we do to popularize the position we have in UNILAG?
Well, what I did, for example, the late Vice Chancellor, Professor Shofoluwe, I'm telling you an example now of what I did. He sent me to the late Chancellor of University of Lagos, the Ata of Igala. All the vice chancellors, they've been sending me to Ata Igala because Ata Igala, our chancellor, was working under my grandfather as an accountant in training. So when he became vice chancellor,
yes.
there is that international relation between me and the chancellor. So they sent me to Ida. On my way coming, I saw iron and steel industry on the way. You see, the research mind in me, the dynamism in me, the education I received at Government College Okene, which is very close to that research, I said, I must branch. I branched there and saw what is happening. They took me around the whole place on the it was the Fitri, on the 8th of November, 2010. I branched. When I came back, I wrote a paper, 55-page paper, how Ajaokuta iron and steel can lead to the industrial revolution of Nigeria. I wrote a paper. That's the research mind I have from Lagos, and the fact that Government College is so close to me, where I went to school. I said, this is a national asset that is being wasted. So I wrote this on the 9th of March. President Jonathan replied me and gave 690 million
for them to reactivate
this thing. That is Unilag in action again. That's Unilag in action. And I know other universities, they are doing as much. I have no statistics. The statistics I know is that you did not make a mistake in calling me here because I'm focused. Where am I focused? I went to a government college in 1963 in Okene, where, motivated by Sir Ahmadu Bello. He wanted to catch up with the South. And he instilled in us that we must work hard. We must read very well. Let me tell you one thing. Adekunle died only recently. Adekunle was the first set in government college. Nobody knew this. Adekunle Black Scorpion went to government college Ukene 1950 to 1957.
Really?
Yes. And he died. Now the Professor Idachaba, that food security professor who died 2 weeks after, also went. While Adekunle's set score 93%, Idachaba, who came in 1956, 1 year before Adekunle left, they saw the success that Sadano has planted in government college. His own set scored 100%. Everybody Division 1.
Now,
and he was. It's a second. Let me go. It's a second term. You are talking of other universities. It's a second time vice chancellor of Federal University of Agric, Makurdi, and Kogi State University. That is a bright professor, food and security professor. Scholar. That anywhere FAO has called him, Italy they call him. He has been doing research. Dachaba has been doing research in food and for years. Now, let me add that Government College Ibadan brought trained Professor Dupe Olagunbosun, who was in Ibadan 1957 when Idachaba was just in Form 2. Idachaba met him in the same department of Greek economics. He is a father. He didn't know that Professor Olatunbosu is from Kaba. He went to Government College Ibadan. But what you are saying, Ibadan also, they are doing a lot in Agric and food security. It's not only University of Lagos. Most other university, let me tell you.
Okay, no, let's concede.
Yes, that other universities are doing
yes. Now, what we now need to do will be the application of some of these things that we are talking about. Now, let's go back just a couple of steps. Adekunle said 90-something%. Dachaba said 100%. Yours said about 100%.
No, I won't say.
No.
I won't say 93. 26 Division 1 out of 56. Yes, we look at them and we wanted to beat them. We beat them in decade quality. Yes,
in the last decade, I'm sure you cannot count one school. That has scored 100%.
Yes, you can't.
Why is that?
Well, the nation will get the type of pupils that what I'm trying to say is that the military regime and certain decision policy makers made, like you taking government colleges in Lagos or St. Finbar's the one
missionary
every missionary school, you take it and said everybody Jakonde school is going to, but the spirit with which FEMFIBA in football and this thing were working in those days, the spirit of St. Gregory was working in Baptist Academy, Obanikoro, the spirit with which Baba Dr. Adebute was fashioning out students like Dr. Idowu Sobowale, those spirits were gone, they were killed. So you don't have those teachers the teachers that saw those children as their own children. Let me tell you, Dr. Farah, Dr. DJK Farah, our teacher in government college, at 9 o'clock p.m. you will see him with flashlight going through the school and monitoring what the students are doing. You know, he's not dead. He's in Birmingham. I call him every now and then. You know, Jerry Ghana was my house captain. My own one, the whole, what do you call it? The chancellor, what do you call it? The Atai Gala died. Now God brought my house captain as my pro-chancellor. What do you expect of me? To show class, to do more research, and to be more committed. So that Jerry Ghana will say, this boy was rascally playing lawn tennis and hockey in those days in government college. But now he is committed to research. I didn't want to sell my books, but you have a catalog where you see I've published more than 67 books, and you see that spirit has been killed. Spirit of leadership, that drive, that discipline, that devotion, that determination, the one has been killed. You must have a disciplined teacher, devoted teacher, and determined students. Those spirits that are not built in us, I'm still carrying it to Unilago, and I have results.
I know. Prof,
yes.
I'm not worried about you.
Yes.
I'm only worried about the general malay
yes.
in the educational system itself. So how can we reinvent ourselves in that area? What do you think we need to do? What has gone missing? So determination is no longer there. Committed teachers are no longer there. Self-disciplined students are so how do we get all this back?
We can get them back. Let me remind you something. IBB, with all his faults, started one program they call MAMSA.
Yes.
IBB, with all his faults, started one thing as MAMSA. If you are a teacher, teach well. If you are a minister, minister well. If you are a soldier, soldier well. And remember, when he started D3, also, it was Professor Idachaba that was the vice chairman of D3. Yes. Konya, Air Vice Marshal Konya from Rivers State was in charge.
Yes.
And Ebu Captain Dari was one of the directors. And interesting enough, Jerry Ghana was a consultant to D3 then. I told Jerry Ghana, don't you know we can do this MAMSA thing? Speak to the people in their own languages. Speak to the people in their own languages. You are Nupe, you are Takwa. Any program we do for MAMSA to bring the people along, like Confucius, to correct language and to make people understand what government is doing. To go back to the basis, you must speak to the people in their own language. Any program that government is doing must be done in Hausa Fulani, in Nupe, in Igala, in Takpa, in Awori, in Badagry language, in Yoruba, Igbo, and even Ijo that is becoming another thing now.
Okay, all right.
So once we do that one, we reinvent ourselves in our own language.
We'll come back to language and identity.
Okay, sir.
My producer says we'll just take a short break from here because if we don't take a break, Prof will not have time for his water. But we'll be back. Then we'll talk about language and identity. Stay with us.
Network Center.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still on to Closeflow here from NTA2 Lagos Network Center. Prof, as well, you must expect for an erudite mind who has so much information, he has so much to say. So we are trying to see if we can contain him within the little time that we have on this show. Now, he said something that I would like us to quickly look at, and that's a question of language and identity. Quoting Confucius, how we can actually use our language to reconstruct the minds of our people. Now, Prof,
yes, sir.
Would you therefore be fair to say that some of the challenges we've had in Nigeria is because we have not been speaking to people in the language that they understand?
You've gotten it. Double speak, 1984, George Orwell. Yes. Double speak, that's what we have been doing. We've been speaking to ourselves. The leaders have been speaking to themselves. And that's why we created that idea of, what do you call it? The one we carried to Bocos in Jos in 1984. We call it dramatic literature, for social mobilization. We went to Bocos. We did not carry a ready-made theater. Jerry Ghana was the leader. I was the arrowhead who created that drama for social mobilization. Social change. So the idea is that you don't go to Bocos, you don't go to Barikan Ladi, you don't go to Mangu with a ready-made answer to their problem. You all go. Professor Haye was with us. Yes. Professor Haye, who later became Nigerian ambassador in Argentina, was with us. One doctor from Ilorin was with us. Bode Osoyin, who has done such type of Igbobo and women dying out of over big bearing, giving birth to children. So I co-opted all those geniuses in theater. Even Olaro Timi, I co-opted Olaro Timi. I was able to be the arrowhead for Jerry Ghana, drama for social change. So when you get there, you call their ballet. They will narrate their problem. Yes. They narrate their problem, and we ask members of that community to be part of the group that will find solution to those problems. If it is a bridge across a particular river, so that they can carry their potato, because they grow potato potato there, so that they carry it. If the other family, they are fighting, there is quarrel. There is a quarrel between the two clans where the potato the belt is. We factor in that quarrel and make sure what you are saying, and they will be participating in solving their own problem, not in English. Not in English, in Hausa language, which is their lingua franca. So with such language, they can now identify, the masses will identify that acrimony, animosity, rancor, hatred, and all whatnot, all those ones will not allow them to move forward. That they should find solution, conflict and resolution. Yes. They should now find a uniting front, so that they will solve this problem of moving their goods and services across the river. Well, within their communities. And the communities, the two communities. Those were the things that I raised, and Jerry Ghana brought into it and took it to Southwest and all the rest of them. Since it is my idea, is growing, I didn't want to follow them again. I have so much work. I just wanted to write more books. I left them. They were making a success of the community. The name is Community Theater for Social Mobilization. Community Theater for Social Mobilization. That was the one. Yes. If we have that in the language of the masses.
That's just the question. Yes. Why don't we have that anymore? What killed it? Why is it that when we have something that is positive, that should move the nation ahead, then we jettison it? Why do we do that? Is that in our psyche? Is it in our gene? Yes. Is it in the environment? Yes. What is the reason for that?
Well, I said it was military era. Now, maybe let me tell you how radical I was. I whisper it, I didn't want to whisper it to Jerry Ghana, who was my house captain in 1965-66 in Government College. And we are in a class, very rascally boy, but 26 division 1 out of 56.
That's amazing.
And 1993.
That's a sort of
he knew
brilliant
set that I belong. I'm still working hard to like Adekunle, Brass Scorpion, and what do you call it, Idachaba, prove that Okene had the resources of disciplined boys, determined boys, and devoted boys to whatever. You give me a charge, I will finish the charge with panache. You know, so why? The why is that maybe they call Jerry Ghana, that boy that has this community theater. He is in charge of French Revolution. I teach 18th century French Revolution. They writer making poetry, theater, using theater that changed
mobilize the people.
To mobilize the people against royalty in France. I just reply to this thing that if they give me the directorship of any of the 12 states, that they will know that we can use the change. Community theater for change. I discovered that I was not given any directors for Kwara State, where I came from. It was late.
Somebody else.
It was Asaju, the president of NUJ.
Yes, that was given
that assignment. Since it's our Okun people, what concerns me, I know I'm a genius, and I'm happy that they are buying into my own idea. Why should I, even if it is a revolution, let me die and don't chop out of the revolution.
But let
my idea succeed. So maybe that I made the mistake of saying that if they give me, I make a success of it, and the maybe military will be toppled. You know, rascally. Maybe the SSS were there when maybe they killed it. I'm now telling you, maybe that's the reason why they killed it. It is only Jerry Ghana that can confirm.
Prof, with the benefit of hindsight,
yes,
wouldn't that have helped with the kind of situation we find ourselves, not only with the insurgencies, but also with the situation we had in the Niger Delta? Don't you think if we had opportunities like this, where people can speak their own language over the problems that they have and share, similar aspirations, we won't be getting to it? Don't you think so?
Yes, that you say you don't want to buy book or sell book. I wrote a book, Conflict Resolution and Peacemaking, Oil Boom or Oil Doom. I dedicated it to Yaradua, and I dedicated it to Jonathan for not calling a state of emergency over that issue, and that I gave them in 120 pages. Whether Jonathan got it or not, but I know I gave it to Kingibe, was the secretary. Yes, he was secretary to the federal government. I gave it to Kingibe. Kingibe, I believe, must have given it to Yaradua. What happened before Yaradua died on 1st of October 2010, he signed an amnesty with those people, because that was what I said. They must sign an amnesty. You said you don't want to say, I shouldn't bring book. If not, you come for your copy after this. It was dedicated for the duo, Yaradua and his deputy. Vice President then.
Who is now the current president.
Who is the current president. Now, and I said, they should give the committee to negotiate with those Niger Delta, the committee to the vice president, and that was what they did. The vice president then must be talking to the people
in their own language.
I'm happy these are facts. It is tabled there, and if he did or if he did not, at least they signed amnesty, and those people in Niger Delta brought their arms and ammunition and bought into my idea. It's 140.
So you're advancing the same position.
Have I not advanced for Ajakuta? Didn't you hear me that I advanced for Ajakuta too? You have geniuses spread everywhere. I will not say, Oga, come and give me post, but they cannot stop my mind
from working
for my country. I love my country, I no go lie. For inside them, I go shake me as Violation cassette. If you shake me, I shake it. So if you have self-respect, dignity, integrity, the one we're given at government college, you will not be begging people to give you posts. When they know that you have that integrity to achieve whatever. Now, I since been head of department. My own student under me is now head of department. I was 2-term head of department. How do you give 2 terms to somebody who is not performing University of Lagos? Are there no associate professor who should be tested for one distance? That is okay training for you. So for I knew that when you give me, I will do it. I'm just saying this. You say the other generation, what are they going to take after us? That's why I'm unleashing this terror of knowledge, of commitment, across discipline, of devotion, of determination to move Nigeria in my own small corner.
I like that small corner.
Yes.
That small corner right now, we have had 77 books about. Now, but how many books do you think you can actually put out there? And what will those books be talking about? Are we still going to be dwelling on the question of correct languages, or are we going to find another way to see how personal identity can help change the course of Nigeria?
God will bless you. That's why Shofoluwe must be, may his soul rest in peace. When he gave me that research grant to work on Kaba language and linguistics. Now, the head of department of European language and the Asian language said Kaba is not a language. Personal identity. It's not. You go and write your own research proposal and give to the university. But my own research proposal is Kaba language and linguistics.
But he felt that Kaba is not a language.
I published my book. You saw it is about 250 pages now. Kaba language and linguistics. We must have an identity of our own. It is true that we are northern Yoruba. We are northern Yorubas. That is Kaba people.
Yes.
Talk there in northern Nigeria, and we are happy with it. You know, even if we came to western region, let's say that they succeeded, those people who say we should come to western region.
Yes.
In this debate, my uncle, that's Assistant Inspector General of Police, you know, the ghost catcher,
yes,
the ghost catcher of the Nigerian police, yes, in his own days.
Yes. I
asked him, why is it that they didn't allow people to come to West? He said if we came to Western region, the senatorial district we have in Kogi, we will not have it because they will just use us as Amejo, Ekiti, or Ondo State. He said, being an intelligent Egbon, we went to the same primary school, St. Andrews Anglican Primary School, Kaba. He finished in 1953. You know, when I was still maybe 4-year-old or something, a boy. So he said, identity. Now let's keep our identity. We're here. We are a hopeless minority among the Igbira and the Igala. But we are an articulate and strong intellectual presence. Let's use presence in Kogi State. We have an upward of 1,500 professors in Kaba. Small place like that, 1,500, and I documented it. I have a copy again. When I asked Professor Loge, who was a Dachaba's classmate, yes, a geography distinct, why is it that we cannot come as a together group, yes, and make a point? Ganifayemi is there, Falana is there, so we make our point so that we not be a marginalized people, self-hopelessly marginalized. And I said I've started my job. I've done a book for us, Kogi State. It's there, it's in front of you. Yes. They say you are selling book. It's there, Kogi State culture series, Kaba language and linguistics, Kaba oral narratives, customs and traditions. So that's identity, and it was sponsored by University of Lagos. For you
to do that research.
Yes, I published them as books. And then in addition, identity. A language without a dictionary is a hopeless language. It has no future. I've done 1,000 pages of Kaba language. I'm finishing
Kaba dictionary.
Kaba dictionary language. You know, I put dash Kaba Yoruba dictionary because by the time I took the statistics, some of the lexical ways there, they bear, you know, resemblance with Yoruba language. But when I start speaking original Kaba, the Yoruba people
will not understand.
But Jebu people will understand. I don't understand why
that is like that.
Yes, okay,
now
people will understand.
That is another interesting area.
Identity you are talking about.
That is another interesting area we are going to exploit, maybe in another conversation before the next election. Okay. But I just want us to come back and begin to retrace our steps.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think, Prof,
yes,
that the fact that at your time,
yes,
many of the conversations between teachers and students were actually handled in local languages? Yes. Don't you think that helped to stimulate the intellectual abilities of those children?
Oh yes, it is good. Baba, what do we call him? Baba Fafunwa. Yes. The 12 years of her growing up must be taught in our own language. And that was why I advanced that position at IFE in 1968, and he did a book which I asked the cousin who was doing translation under me. I supervised it from English to French, so that his own big uncle will be happy that Jide has an idea. His idea of a mother tongue education, very early, mother tongue education very early must be taught to the children. And I decided that we should do that mother tongue education.
That particular thesis in French.
In French, you know, and you know, that is why we did this. Is that this IFRA in University of Ibadan, that is built very close to Institute of African Studies in Ibadan. It's a French organization, and they have done Yoruba French dictionary in that IFRA.
Yoruba
French dictionary, it exists. I have a copy. Yoruba French dictionary.
Amazing.
So it means that Yoruba language is going places, international. And after I finish the Kaba Yoruba dictionary, which is about 1,000 pages, we can go into it. Yoruba Kaba French dictionary. So
now this actually also promotes cross-border.
Oh yes, culture. Yes, culture. Language carries its culture. It carries the ways of life. It carries their taste, their thinking, their thought system, their dressing, their mode of their comportment. If the arrogance, we will see at Nsukka, we have one professor, Professor Wangbara. He will wear the eagle feather, and he wear a wrapper that is 1 mile long. It was a Methodist clergy, Professor Wangbara. You know, just studies. I love that because that's why
his culture.
Oh yeah, it promotes his culture.
Now we've been having comments from our viewers. Okay. Very quickly, Pamela from Isheri says, please, can we say that the cause of the incessant exam mass failure by students has something to do with mother tongue, and you think students will do better in all subjects when they are being taught in their mother tongues rather than in English language?
Oh yes, we have just addressed it. Professor Fafunwa has done it. He has a controlled secondary school environment and a target secondary school. When those control this thing wrote their work in Yoruba, they all pass. When the other control this thing wrote their own in English, they got maybe 95. Why they control this thing of IFE project, mother tongue project? You know, Madam, thank you very much. Those ones who have people like Bafafun, he made A1 in English in a CMS grammar school during his time. But in spite of the fact that he made A1, when A1 was very difficult in government grammar school, he was still interested in mother tongue teaching. There is nothing new in your question. It has been solved by Professor Bapafunwa. May his soul rest in perfect peace. I'm a disciple of Bapafunwa, and that is why when I wrote The Desire of My Heart, a play on Gamji, Sir Ahmadu Bello.
We're going to come to that.
Okay.
We're going to come to that. Mother tongue is a powerful tool that makes people to become egocentric, and this could lead to division among different people. What can would that be a negative or a positive, therefore, if you're teaching in mother tongue? This is Joyce.
Yes. No, it's not negative, because the Constitution of Nigeria, the National Education Policy, as enshrined in 1993, has said a child must not be made to be parochial. He must add another language to his own mother tongue in that environment. And it was suggested that Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba must be taught at all level. I don't know how far the state government, how far they are doing it, or how far they are not doing it. But I remember at Nsukka in 1970, you know, we are the Gowon's tools for reconciliation, for reconstruction, and for rehabilitation. The 3R of Gowon. That I was happy. I went to Nsukka at that material time in 1970. And I read languages. After the war. And I read language. I was in Department of Languages. They taught us French. But they added, as ingenious as Nnamdi Azikiwe was, because that university was not a federal university. It was Eastern Nigerian University. Nnamdi Azikiwe, a great nationalist, has enshrined that they must teach Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba in the Department of Languages. And then, you know, I needed the Igbo language to chase those Igbo girls in Baliwa Hall. So I listened very well to Dr. Okoriafia, who was teaching us Igbo. And when we were teaching us 1, 2, 3, Abo, Otu, you know the Igbo people, they dance Otu. Otu is a different thing, indecent use of language. Yes. The girls, Igbo boys, girls will come and say 1, 2, 3 for them. When I discovered the indecency of that Otu, yes. Otu Negi, yes. And the rest of it, I said I ceased teaching them their own language. What I did was Erigihe, Afiiti, Irigoli, Ebekineje, Ebekinaga, and the rest of them, Kedu Kodi, Odima, have you woken up? Iputagola, and the rest of them. I went by and I knew I scored 100% in the exam. But if Northern Yoruba came around scoring 100% and the Igbo speakers not getting this thing, so decided to give us all C around. I said it was injustice. If we had to be now, I take Okoriafia to court for doing disservice to my competence in performance in Igbo language. 1970-71 at University of Nigeria Nsukka, the only university of Nigeria. Other university of Nigeria campuses in Lagos, Ibadan, Ife, and so on and so forth.
All right, now, Prof, let's come from Igbo,
yes,
to Gamji.
Okay.
Now, so you saw the need.
Yes.
There was a gap somewhere.
Yes.
And you saw the need to fill that gap.
Yes.
Now, are we doing enough of that? Reconnecting culturally and historically, are we doing enough of that? Because right now, the fear is that Nigeria is going to disintegrate. That people are beginning too self-centered, too ethnic-centered, that they don't see themselves as Nigerians to start with. So, do you think Gamji will have been an answer to that?
Oh yes, it's an answer to it. Sadano was accused of imposing Hausa on everybody in northern Nigeria. They have forgotten Sadano is not a Hausa. He's a Fulani.
To start with. And
Sadano is not a
Hausa language.
It's not a Hausa man, but he was an ingenious leader who knew we must have a lingua franca. If you go to all the Middle Belt churches, the language of worship is a Hausa. And let me not start from the fact that I wrote that Gamji so that our new government, when Nzogu said who was Gamji, who was Sir Ahmadu Bello, the man who knew that his future is greater than himself, he did not run away. He faced Nzogu and said, here I am. He did not run away. So that courage that was embedded in us, that Black Scorpion had and carried to the war front, that courage was in me. I love that courage, that he did not back down or fear. What we should fear is fear itself. Not Sadano said, here I am. Do whatever you want to do. Because Akintola has alighted in the headquarters to say we should run to Dauri, Amani Dauri in Niger. In Niger Republic, they speak Hausa there. He said, no, go back to Western region and face your destiny. I will stay here in Kaduna and face my destiny. How do you beat that? Obaja was the name of my grandfather. He was dealing with Lord Lugard without the ammunition. And that was how, when he needed to change the name of the province, he did not say Igala province. He did not say Ibira province. He did not say Okene province. He did not say Ida province. He said Kaba province because of my grandfather. How will I not be writing about great leaders? How will I not behave without competence in performance? So after writing that, Adamuchi Roman sponsored the Hausa version of it. Those are those people who believe in the legacy that Sadano bequeathed to us. Let me finish it. Okay. He sponsored it and warned me not to sell a copy of that Hausa version to anybody. What I did, I'm a member of Arewa Consultative Forum. So I took 500 copies to Arewa Consultative Forum, 100 copies of the English version to Arewa Consultative Forum. Up till now, they've not distributed to the libraries in Arewa. Up till now, they have not distributed it. Had they distributed it, they will remember when reading it that Sadano was speaking Hausa to Pastor Lot of the Middle Belt. His confidant was a pastor How many governors will make a Christian their confidant in northern Nigeria now? Nobody. So he had that capacity, the leadership to see beyond the future and brought people into Tanko Yusuf is a Taraba Juku man. He made Tanko Yusuf a Juku man to be our agent general in London. How do you make UB United Unity Belt this thing to be your
head of economic
agent in London? Don't you see the type of leadership? That's why I issued it in Hausa so that people the TV people should sponsor it in TV, Igala, in Yoruba, and so on, in Boronu language.
Now,
also.
what you are saying from
this language, we are still in language, and I'm projecting.
Yes, what you're saying therefore would be that historically, there seems to be a lot of connection between all of us who peopled Nigeria.
Yes.
So why are we selling a wrong ticket to our children that Nigeria is diverse, we're separate people, we are this, we are... Why is that the thing on the table everywhere we are talking now? Why is that?
Acrimony, animosity, rancor, hatred, bitterness. That's what our politicians are selling now. Let me tell you, Yoruba is not a Yoruba word. Yarubawa, you go to, when the white people came, they said this is your kingdom. This is people by Yarubawa. It was not originally a Yoruba word. It was the corruption of Yarubawa that the Sultan told the Igbo people, either Richard Landa, Clapperton, that went to Sokoto in those days and descend down. Not Mongo Petty, not Mongo Park, but Clapperton, Richard Landa, who really went to the Sultan in those days. And he said Yorubawa, meaning that Oyo, there is trade in leather, in kola, with Oyo kingdom and the caliphate. So there is no way there can be animosity between and they will bring their cow and cattle to Agege. And the Agege, also Fulani can win election in Agege because it's the entrepot of kola. And kola nut, is very important to us in Arewa. So the Hausa Fulani in Agege, through the train, they will export it to Kano and the rest of them. Those trade are binding factor. Our diversity is beautiful because what people want to use to disunite us, God has created it to unite us.
Together, yes.
Are you getting it? And our what do you call it? Our cotton pyramid, our groundnut pyramid, there are things that bind us together because the Northern Marketing Board will bring them to the south for export.
Now, Prof, before we leave, because my producer is saying that if I don't ask you to leave now, another program will come and drive us from here. Okay. Now, the important thing will be for us to connect with the future. Yes. So going forward, what do you think we should be doing? 2015 is around the corner. The politicians are going to come with their bag of tricks very soon. Yes. So what should Nigerians be doing? What should we be saying to Nigerians?
Oh, yes. Sir Tafawa Balewa had already put institutions on ground. It was an act of parliament in 1965 that the youth of Nigeria should be brought together in what you call unity schools. Federal Government College Okosi, Federal Government College Warri, Federal Government College Sokoto. Luckily for me, apart from government, I'm a product of Federal Government College Sokoto, 1968-69. And when Awolowo came, I was the editor-in-chief of Fego Call Times. We had our own daily times. Journal. I was the one interviewing him. And I said, after this experiment of unity schools, that it will die with us. Don't you think that we must have a youth camp where there be a follow-up before they go to the National Assembly? That was how they started the National Youth Service Corps. This small boy has been engineering ideas over the years. Now I'm bringing it to Kabao. If nobody is doing what I'm doing, they will do what I ask them to do in Kaba. I'm envisioning Kaba in the next 100 years. Charity begins at home. What the answer to the question is that the structures are there, the institutions are there. When you when you teach them to eat together, to dance together, to live together, as Awolowo saw, because we organize festival for Awolowo at Sokoto with the Hausa boy spoke in Hausa, the Fulani in Fulani, the Shobo in Sobo, the TV. We all welcome Awolowo in 1968 in Davis Hall, principal of King's College. Yes. We named our hall in Sokoto Davis Hall after him, and that was it. And we believe that after NYSC at National Assembly, they will see friends who were youth,
grew up
at the age of 12 to maybe 20. Some of them in the university. Those structures, madam, they are there, and we believe we will fathom in and make sure that all those Sadano had those structures, so a wonderful character. Because in government college, in the HSC, you find Aliyu Dasuki, the great grandson of Sultan of Sokoto, was Ahmadibi House captain. Colonel Daku of Katsina was from government college Barewa, and Colonel Dasuki was from Kuru Government Secondary School. So we have amalgam. Before he died, when I come to Dasuki, he will answer me. When I call Colonel Daku, because I served Colonel Daku for 2 years in government college, he sees me as a younger brother. Those structures are there in our educational system. We must go back to those ones. Okay. That is the answer.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's a pity my producer is saying that we just must leave the studio. Otherwise, this conversation will not end here. But certainly, the conversation is not closing here. You can go to www.youtube.com/NTA2Lagos or www.nta2lagos.com. Go there and continue this conversation with Prof. Subscribe to the channel, share the ideas that he has tabled here with your friends. Like he says, we have the structure in place. You must go back to those structures because our diversity actually is a blessing. It's our pleasure having Professor Asobele here. Thank you very much for coming on Closeflow. I'm sure we're going to have you again because this issue of identity will never end. So we're going to have you again. Then you come and explain a little bit more just before the election. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Sir. Thank you for watching. Go enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.